The tense silence that followed was broken by Reinhard's calm voice. "Release Emilia-sama and I'll listen to your demands," he said evenly, standing beside Subaru, whose anger left him unable to respond. Regulus raised an eyebrow, considering the offer. Judging that Reinhard's composed demeanor made him a more reasonable counterpart than the seething Subaru, he smirked condescendingly. "Ah, I like that tone. People should learn to communicate properly. If they want things to go their way, they must understand the art of persuasion. Sadly, most don't. They're brutish, forcing their views on others without finesse. But me, I'm different. I'm a man of peace, someone who values words over needless confrontation. Isn't that how it should be?" "There's no need for such dramatics," Reinhard replied, his gaze steady. "Just tell me your demand. Seeing Emilia-sama in distress is difficult for both me and my friend." "Fair enough. I'll get to the point. Drop that sword you carry and approach the altar," Regulus commanded. Emilia's face turned pale as Regulus tightened his grip slightly, lifting her higher. Her feet dangled in the air, and the icy sword she had held clattered to the ground. Without hesitation, Reinhard removed the dragon sword from his waist and handed it to Subaru. "If this were a story, I'd want to draw this sword myself and end this right here," Subaru muttered under his breath. Reinhard offered a faint smile. "That's an admirable thought, but I doubt you could unsheath it. Rest assured, I'll handle this and save Emilia-sama." Their quiet exchange ended as Reinhard turned back to Regulus, complying with his demand. The sword saint moved unarmed to the center of the temple. He halted at Regulus's command, stopping roughly 5 meters away, a distance Reinhard could cross in an instant, but one that carried significant risk. Regulus still held Emilia, and any sudden move could endanger her. Meanwhile, the secret behind Regulus's remarkable endurance and power remained a mystery. From escaping Emilia's icy trap to his immense destructive capability, the source of his strength was still unclear. Subaru held his breath, his focus entirely on Reinhard. Though he yearned to intervene, he knew any action on his part could worsen the situation. "As you asked, I've stopped. Now, what do you want?" Reinhard asked, his voice steady. "Simple," Regulus said, his tone sharp. "I'll let everyone go, but there's one condition. You stand here and take one strike from me. No defense, no dodging. Just one hit. If you can do that, I'll release the hostages. Fair deal, don't you think?" Reinhard stroked his chin thoughtfully. "One strike, is that all?" Subaru's mind raced. Regulus's strength was overwhelming, capable of devastating anything in his path. Even Reinhard might not withstand such an attack. If Reinhard fell, there would be no hope of victory. But before Subaru could protest, Reinhard nodded. "I understand. I accept." Subaru's eyes widened in shock, unable to process what he had just heard, while Regulus's expression twisted into one of satisfaction. Regulus regarded Reinhard with a calm, almost approving gaze. "A wise realization, I see. You have my respect. Although you're an adversary who challenged my loved ones, at least you seem to possess some measure of human decency," he said, his voice tinged with an unsettling tranquility. Subaru, on the other hand, felt his anger boil over. Regulus's composed demeanor and seemingly kind words repulsed him. The way he held Emilia and spoke with such confidence, as if he were in the right, made Subaru feel sick to his core. Despite Subaru's fury, Regulus remained focused on Emilia. His grip on her neck remained firm as he raised his other hand toward Reinhard. "Reinhard, what are you doing? What's your plan?" Subaru called out, his voice cracking with panic. Reinhard turned toward him, his expression calm and reassuring. "Subaru, as promised, where my strength falls short, I trust you'll find a way to support me," he replied steadily, as if their predicament didn't faze him. Subaru clenched his fists in frustration. "Stop speaking so vaguely! We need a clear plan!" he shouted, desperate for clarity. But before Subaru could say more, Regulus acted. With a swift motion of his arm, he unleashed an unseen force. It struck Reinhard with overwhelming power, as though an invisible wave had collided with him. In an instant, Reinhard was sent flying. Reinhard's body landed with a sickening thud, collapsing into a crumpled heap. Blood pooled on the ground beneath him. What just happened?" Subaru gasped, his voice trembling. Reinhard lay motionless, his life extinguished in an instant. The sight was too much for Subaru to process. The renowned sword saint, hailed as one of the greatest warriors, was gone. Regulus, unfazed by Reinhard's fall, regarded the scene with detachment. To him, it seemed like an ordinary event. His voice was calm as he spoke, as though pondering the nature of life and death. It doesn't matter who a person is in life. Death treats everyone the same. Whether someone has done remarkable deeds or terrible things, death takes them without distinction. It's one of the few truly just aspects of this world. His gaze remained cold and impassive as he looked down at Reinhard's lifeless body. There was no remorse, no guilt, only an indifferent acknowledgement of what had occurred. That's why I've learned not to chase after excessive happiness. I find contentment in the simple things. Perhaps that is why you may see me as greed, but truly I am just someone who values what I have and what I will have. I find joy in appreciating the small, meaningful things in life. With a final glance at Reinhard's fallen form, Regulus held his arm, still dripping with the consequences of his actions, close to his chest. A satisfied smile played across his lips, and a cold laugh escaped him. He seemed to revel in the knowledge that the world would continue, indifferent to the life he had just taken. Regulus, maintaining his usual sense of calm and superiority, looked down at Subaru. "My content self wishes to know," he began, his voice smooth and almost condescending. "Are you at peace with the consequences of your actions? If so, then consider this the result of your choices. If not, it seems that fate has chosen your path." Subaru's eyes burned with fury, and with a roar, he rushed into action. "Ah! Ah!" Before Regulus's words could even finish echoing, Subaru grabbed a chair and hurled it at him, his anger boiling over. Regulus, without breaking a sweat, brushed the chair aside with a swift motion, as if it were a minor distraction. The chair splintered on impact, and Regulus took a step back, his expression one of mild distaste. "Compared to that elegant one," Regulus said mockingly, "you really are both loud and uncouth." Unfazed, Subaru shot back. "Being a knight without any of the usual formalities is my specialty." His heart racing with determination, Subaru stepped over the blood-stained carpet and unfastened his whip, pointing it at Regulus, ready to strike. Regulus, however, tightened his grip on Emilia, lifting her slightly off the ground, his gaze cold. "Are your eyes just for decoration? Can't you see that I hold the advantage here?" he sneered. Before Subaru could respond, Reinhard's calm voice interrupted the tension. "This is strange. According to your promise, you should have released the hostages." Regulus blinked in surprise. His face suddenly shifted, showing a rare sign of alarm. Subaru, startled, turned his gaze away from Regulus, feeling his throat tighten in shock. There, at the center of the church, stood a slender figure, blood-stained but unmistakable. "What?" Regulus stammered, his composure faltering. Reinhard, standing resolutely, answered simply, "The divine protection of the Phoenix." In an instant, 3 figures moved in perfect harmony. Subaru rushed forward, using his whip to pull a blonde-haired woman to safety. Despite the pressure on her neck, Emilia managed to kick her ice sword across the floor toward Reinhard. Reinhard, appearing seemingly out of nowhere, caught the sword and pointed it directly at Regulus, his intentions clear. With the hostages shielded, Reinhard hesitated no longer. The air around them seemed to still, as in the blink of an eye, the sound vanished from the world entirely. A brilliant blue light flashed, followed by a shockwave that engulfed the church, leaving everyone in a tense, expectant silence.